Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is House of the Dragon Chat. Something a little bit different for us. We got in at the tail end of Game of Thrones, and you guys know we're typically a Walking Dead channel, but Game of Thrones was so phenomenal, and we binge watched it. And I know many of you are going to be into the history and the lore, and we're hoping to learn a lot of that from our Game of Thrones experts. So this is going to be, kind of a small group getting in, getting a chat, getting our thoughts and ideas. And of course, the playback will be available. So all of your comments, everything are going to be posted in chat. And again, I'm going to learn as much from you as maybe eventually I'll learn enough to speak about the House of the Dragon universe. But I've got a lot of notes here, so we're going to go over that. And if you guys aren't familiar with our channel, we do invite you to get involved in some of our Walking Dead chats, Walking Dead, and then Tales of the Walking Dead as well. We're going to be streaming and having a lot of great conversations. So typically what we do with Walking Dead is we start out and say, if everybody could rate this episode, what would you rate it? And I think right now we're going to go 10 and above. So let me start with all the people that are here. From a 1 to a 10, what did you think about tonight's episode? There's only one number on my mind, and it is an absolute 10. There's no doubt about it. I thought it was absolutely incredible. Um, it actually took me all the way back to Game of Thrones. I just absolutely felt like I was watching Game of Thrones all over again. I didn't skip a beat, and you've had a Stark in there at the end. But I do have this question before we get too far into what happened tonight and our evaluation. And I mean this in fun, because you guys know I live and breathe The Walking Dead as well. But why is it that The Walking Dead can go 5 spinoffs and never create a good villain, and in 15 minutes of House of the Dragon, we've already got Daemon Targaryen, and we already know how badass he is going to be? It's like it takes no time at all for Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon to be like, that's the guy. That's the guy that's absolutely going to destroy people. It is it it's so good. I mean, it's good writing. Um, he's like peeking in, he's listening in, and he gets slighted. All of those things. So I don't have to walk you through step by step. I mean, you guys watched the episode, and again, I'm going to be learning the different houses, the different groups. I thought kind of those gold capes coming in there. That's when you knew, like, okay, he's kind of the law, but he's kind of a brutal part of the law. And there were just so many parts of tonight that I kind of felt like I knew what was going to happen, and then I didn't. Like, when Emma, okay, I felt like, okay, Emma's going to die. And then how many people were thinking like me? Like, when Emma's there, you're thinking like, wait a minute, he's going to go say, hey, is it a boy? If it's a boy, go ahead and kill her. If it's not, then save my wife. Like, that's the only thing going through my mind at that moment. I'm thinking like, he already knows. He already has an idea of like what he's going to do. And then I was just completely shocked when the baby died. That was like, so there was so much unpredictability in kind of what happened. But even the preview for the next couple weeks, it looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's going to be some dragons, it's going to be some war, it's going to be like really, really epic, edge of your seat Game of Thrones. So let me ask you guys this, because I want to get some of your thoughts. Ocean Man kills bold prediction: a dragon will be healed by the ocean. You know what? There you go. I like the bold prediction. Air for a day. Well, and that was it. That was enough. At that point, you knew. You knew that Daemon Targaryen, he was going to be exiled. Viserys was like, that's enough. And I think from the previews and the trailer and everything, I think we knew Rhaenyra was going to kind of take that path to the throne. But it does look like much of this prequel is about how difficult it's going to be for Rhaenyra to ever achieve that? Like, can she take over the throne? Who's going to be out to get her? Are the high towers, Alicent, they seem to be pretty tight. Are they going to protect, or do they have their own hidden agenda? I mean, these type of things can change people. But certainly, let's deal with the first villain, and that is the villain that is family, like your own blood. So, and the other guy, I think he's I'm thinking, was it Corlys? Yeah, Corlys and his wife. They seem pretty jealous too. Like, yeah, they're swearing loyalty, but at the same time, he was the one that was also sort of backing Daemon as well. So there's going to be some problems inside the house. All right, so Scale of the Dragon Pit was very impressive. I thought everything. The set was amazing. The story was amazing. The acting is beyond incredible. Timetable, the year was 101. You kind of set the stage. It was the 9th year of the reign. And I'm curious. So you can see all the subplots kind of happening. What was your favorite moment? If everybody could type in chat right now, give me like your favorite moment from tonight's episode. Because I want to read a couple of these, and then I want to kind of give my thoughts. I personally like the games. I like the joust, and the birth, and here's the thing with the games, okay? I went through multiple emotions with this. First, I thought, okay, Daemon's going to win. And then I thought, no, he's going to lose. Then I thought, oh, he's going to die. Okay, the baby's going to die and Daemon's going to die. And Rhaenyra is going to be the heir by default. And then I thought, okay, he's going to yield. And he yielded. And then I thought, now he's going to come up and stab the other guy in the back. It was like all these things. I'm just watching, trying to figure out what are they going to do. I had no clue, and it's so unpredictable that I think that 5 to 10 minute ordeal really had me kind of at the edge of my seat. All right, so we got Ocean Man's like, when Daemon got his ass whooped in the joust. Yeah, that was good. Joey says Rhaenyra at the end, kind of telling like the tales of what it takes to take over the Iron Throne, and I got to entrust this in you, and we should have never unlocked the power of the dragons. That was pretty awesome. Bone says it's heartbreaking when the queen died right at the game. It was, but it was also, it was good the way they timed it. And I got another analogy because, fairly or unfairly, when The Walking Dead does something, it seems like coincidence, and it's like, okay, we've seen it again. But when House of the Dragon does it, it was like, oh, we're going from scene to scene. Well, how ironic is that right at the end of the games, this happens, like at the worst possible moment. And it's just fun. It's just the way they do it just makes you want more, Yeah, Valar's like, I hate to say it, but it's when Rhaenyra said Dracarys and had to burn it down. That was cool too. And I think Valar, when she heard that, she was like, yeah, no. It's like, it's cool, but it's not cool at the same time. All right, and I haven't read too far into it. Who's the mean red dragon that Daemon Targaryen is riding around. Do we know who that is yet? Did I miss it, or is that just going to be like or have we seen that? Is that one of the dragons that we see in Game of Thrones? Because, dragons live for a long time. Maybe it is. If it is, I don't know. But you know what? It looks like... All right, so it's Caraxes. Am I saying that right? Well, it looks like the dragon I have right here. So maybe that's it. Caraxes. Is that what we're going with? Okay. All right, so... And here's a talking... Here's like a Game of Thrones old school. So, okay, if it's Caraxes, the bloodworm, did Caraxes make it to Game of Thrones is my question. Does this dragon live 100 years? Do we ever see it in Game of Thrones? Yay or nay? Okay. So then he's got to die, right? So, all right, maybe I'm getting into the bold predictions. So, if Caraxes the bloodworm doesn't make it, then we can expect that dragon will be dead. Yeah, dragons live a long time. So somebody's got to kill this bad boy. I hate to spoil it for you guys. Well, I haven't seen it, but that's the way. Or maybe he just flies away somewhere and they never brought him back. Yeah, but don't dragons typically live? He could have. He could be at the end of his life, but don't dragons typically live like 1,000 years? Or yeah, maybe maybe we'll see him. He's still living somewhere. All right, so all are dead except those three. Or they're somewhere in another far off kingdom, like a dragon land. Fair enough. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, let me on a brutality scale, what did you guys think? Right amount of brutality? I mean, I keep getting drawn back to what was a more brutal scene? The gold capes or the tournament? It did. It felt like, in week number 1, I mean, we're already getting pretty comfortable with the characters. So, and I know we're so into, Jaime Lannister, Tyrion Lannister, Ned Stark, like we know all of those. And I think that you get so attached to Jon Snow that this is just the first episode. Imagine like 4 or 5 weeks into this, like when we have our new Jon Snow. So we got some Lannisters, we got some Hightowers. All right, so I got another question. And I might not have caught this dude's name. So who won the tournament? And I'm going through some of the names, some of the characters, and I'm not sure if I have the right one. Is that Rhaenyra Redwine? And like I said, I'm just going through some of the ones, so I don't know where we're at yet. But there's this one dude named Rhaenyra Redwine, and he is Lord Commander of the King's Guard. So I don't know if that was him that was Sir Cole. Okay, so I'm like too far ahead here. So is Sir Cole Valar? Is that gonna be like? Is that gonna be like our dude? Is that gonna be like the Jon Snow of Game of Thrones? And I'm sorry to keep making comparisons, but my brain relates to Game of Thrones really, really well. So because I'm already thinking, you know what? Like I'm feeling like he's the dude. Like he's the dude that beat up Daemon Targaryen, right? So don't you kind of feel like that's going to be like one, like number not one on the list, but it's going to be like 1A? No. Courtney King, I did not read the book, which is why we're here talking about it. I wished I had time to read the book. Just, I don't. I'm one of those kind of, lazy people that watches the show and then kind of gets together to talk about it. But that's where all of you guys come in. Courtney, see, that's where we're going to kind of build on the expertise because we've got some really, really people that are further along that are kind of into it. And we're going to bring a lot of that chat into either live stream or playback. So you can probably see there's some that have read the book cover to cover, watched the TV shows, are really into the history and the lore. And then most of our audience is, perfectly honest. A lot of us are Walking Dead fans and Game of Thrones fans. So it's kind of merging our crowd to get a little bit more knowledge. But I got to tell you, I love it. Absolutely love it. And, kind of learning it and getting all of the characters and getting comfortable with them. And look, I was taking notes. I'm trying to write down every name I can get, like the High Towers. And then I did get my cheat sheet. So I got the cheat sheet and some of the characters, but kind of looking at them where they're going to play in to it. So, and I guess part of it is by not reading the book, I'm completely blind. So I'm completely entertained by it. And I know some people they like to see the adaptation of it. But for me, it's just like I'm like a kid in a candy store watching it for the first time. Like, okay, that who's going to kind of screw over who? So, but Courtney, that brings up a great question, and I appreciate that. For those of you that have read the book and understand kind of the first episode, how similar is what you saw today to what you read and what you expected? Similar, say exactly the same, major differences in interpretation. So if you guys could help me out with that, I'm very curious. I want to know the close proximity of the book. Very similar so far, says Ocean Man. Valar, if you've never read the books, you can feel the tension with the Targaryen family and where it's headed. Absolutely, for sure. Jim, I love the reference to the long winter coming. Targaryen needs to be on the throne. And that's that's the cool thing too. Like, I'm looking for buzzwords. So, and I'm sure you guys caught that when they were like, swearing loyalty. I think was the last dude that was a Stark that like spoke up. And I'm not sure which Stark it was. Not on my list of not on my list of major characters, but I'll have to go back watch it again. So Courtney says, so backstory, there's tons of things in the work for families it's done, the work for justice, because I've done research prior. Reckon Stark? That's a real name, Valar? Like, dude's name is Reckon? I like it. Exactly. You know what? And Rekarn. Okay. Well, it worked because if that was put in there just for like us, where we could kind of grab onto something. So, again, hats off to the writers and the directors of saying, all right, we're going to put something in here for the real loyalists, for everybody, the people that know everything, and then we're going to put a few little Easter eggs and a few buzzwords in there for the people. And Walking Dead does that too. So, I guess the parallel I would draw here is I remember when I started streaming Walking Dead, and we'd get so many questions, and people would say, okay, well, it's going to happen like that because that's the way it was in the comics, right? You guys remember? Like, how many chats we would do, and they say, well, this has got to happen. And then they would mix it up. And when they mixed it up, um, it set off some of the people who were very pure to the show. And that is really what I want to see with a lot of you guys who understand the bloodline and the story. I want to see when you guys, and I won't say you get triggered, but I want to see where you guys are like, no, it's not the way it's going to happen. So, and that's what I'm asking you guys. Just do me that favor. When you see something that jumps off the page that is different, let all of us know, because we're going to be talking about this weekly. I see Yankee fan. We see a new intro, and we see the Starks, or hear the Starks name in this series. That's a great question. And again, that's not a question for me. That's a question for the panel. That's a question for all of you guys. So if you guys see some of the House of the Dragon fans that jump in, then feel free to answer some of those questions. Yep, absolutely. Um, so the answer is, some how they got all the way to Jon Snow and then to his sister, I believe, is how far that will go. All right, so let me ask a general Game of Thrones question. And again, I apologize if this has been listed. How many has it been predetermined how many seasons House of the Dragon will be? I'm sure I could look it up, but if you guys have looked into this, have they announced, will it be 2 seasons, will it be 3 seasons, or do we know? All right, so we could get 3 to 4 years of House of the Dragon entertainment, and I think we're all for it. So, I mean, we have been Valar, are you just being optimistic, or are you really thinking it'll be 5 or 6 seasons? Well, let me ask, since it hasn't been broadcast, let me ask everybody. Leave in chat right now. How many seasons do you think House of the Dragon will be? That's my first question for all of y'all. And I got a follow-up question too. If you guys are new to our streams, it is very it's very engaging. Like, you guys make the channel, so I love calling on everybody's individual thoughts. I'll throw some pop questions out there from time to time. Crimson Tide says 8. That's a lot. Ocean Man, 5 or 6. Bones, 5. R. Martin says at least 5. Courtney says 3 or 6. All right, that's an easy question because, we throw that out there. Now I'm going to give you guys a more difficult question. And I know it's going to hurt some of your souls to answer this, and we will get deeper and deeper into the story. E-Beach says 8. All right. All right, pay attention to this one. This is a tough one. Will House of the Dragon be so good that we phase out a little bit of Game of Thrones? And I know that's a tough question. Will this be so good that we get so into the characters that, yes, we know we've watched Game of Thrones, but right now it's the only thing that we have? Is this going to be kind of that complete standalone story where you forget it's a prequel? That's kind of what I mean by it. Will it be so good that you forget it's a prequel and you're not just like looking for when do all the connections? And I know that it's the bloodlines are going to go all the way through, but if we've got 8 seasons of House of the Dragon, and there's just all these different stories and villains and war and all of those things, that's kind of, I am hoping that as well. Ray, I mean, that's really my hope, is that because I binge watched Game of Thrones. It was on the tail end of it, and I could not stop watching it. It was like scene number 1, 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I just watched that happen. And then it was all the way up to the last season. So I could just sit there day after day after day and catch up and get into it. But the other thing that you guys got to understand, when you watch it week to week, like we're doing right now, you retain it a lot more. When you're binge watching, like I did, and I'm getting through like 5, 6 seasons one after another, you don't retain as much. You're entertained by it, but then you start going in, it's like, okay, get to next episode. But when you got to think about it, watch it for a week, then get to the next one, the anticipation, it becomes permanent. So my hope is, because I missed out on the early days of Game of Thrones, my hope is that this really takes me into a different direction where I learn to be attached to this. Jon Snow show is in the works. Yeah, I mean, so we got some Jon Snow. We got some House of the Dragon. So it's possible to have multiple different storylines, and that's going to be it might be a little tough. It might be a little tough to keep up with everything, especially with, well, at least the main Walking Dead, we got one more season. So I guess by the time we're at season 2 of Game of Thrones, we'll have a little bit of our calendar freed up. Awesome. Awesome feedback. So, those of you just tuned in, keep in mind, we'll do a brief chat weekly. Here is kind of the schedule, so I can let you guys know. And out of respect to our Game of Thrones and our Walking Dead fans, something you guys can look forward to. Again, now that we're going live again, we're going to start to get some of our normal subscribers that watch Walking Dead, that watch Game of Thrones. They're going to be like, okay, you guys do gaming, but you're also back doing some commentary. Up until October, so for the next 6 weeks, we are going to watch, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones and give a recap on Sunday night. When the shows overlap, and I'm not sure how many episodes will overlap, maybe 1 or 2, we will switch to The Walking Dead on Sunday, and we will go to the final couple episodes of Game of Thrones on Tuesday night. So we're going to be here Sunday night at 10:15 every Sunday after the episode. And once we hit Walking Dead, again, we'll switch that to Sundays. We're also going to use Tuesdays right now for Tales of the Walking Dead, standalone series. And as you guys know, we've got Rick and Michonne coming up. We got Negan and Maggie coming up. And there's going to be a lot of hype and a lot of buzz with our Walking Dead fans as well. So I don't know. You know what? Absolutely, we're going to talk about Rick and Michonne. We are going to talk about every Walking Dead spinoff. Not yet, except for I don't want to get too far into the spoilers, but I would expect a pretty substantial Rick Grimes cameo and transitioning where we're at with the Commonwealth into Rick and Michonne. So we'll get into more of that on Tuesday night when we do a little bit of Tales of the Walking Dead. And we will start to give you guys little bits and pieces, get back to our bold predictions. But, certainly, I want to say thanks to you guys. Not going to be super long stream tonight. I really appreciated the character development, the villain development, all of you guys, your thoughts, getting in here, making us all smarter. Thanks for making us all smarter with the show. I am counting on all of y'all give us as much feedback, as much insight. I know, Jim, Valar, Dimes, a lot of you guys are experts. E Beach wants to know about Madison's return. I can't make tonight's stream about The Walking Dead, everybody. I know you guys want to. It's like, come on, Kills, let's transition. Tell you what, be here Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, and we will talk Walking Dead and Tales of the Walking Dead and some of the things to expect from that. But I will make some vague references, in Walking Dead streams about House of Dragon and House of Dragon about The Walking Dead. But you guys can't get me going because I'll be here for another 30 minutes talking about The Walking Dead. Do me a favor. Give me a 999 in chat real quick so I can give you guys all a shout out in this video. And once the video is live, feel free to leave any comments. We'll check the comments. And anybody that watches the playback, if we keep these streams around 30 minutes, odds are more of our fans are going to watch the playback. If we go an hour, hour and a half, they'll watch 10 or 15 minutes. And then, of course, they got other stuff to do. So if you guys can do me a favor, we're going to do shout outs to all of our subs. Thank you so much. And you guys hit the sub button. I see Amy Bones Forever. Thank you so much. Gemstone, Valar, Ocean Man, thank you. Michigan Gal, great to see you again. Courtney King, welcome to the channel. Diana C, always a pleasure. Busy B, get them in there quickly. I can read these things super, super fast, everybody. I see Kel, I see Deacon in the house, Eric Beach. Julia, thank you so much for being here. And we will be back on set. Deadly Dimes. Tomorrow night, we're doing some gaming. Tune in for a little bit of Play Dead Live. Tuesday night, we got Tales of the Walking Dead with a few little Walking Dead bold predictions. And then we'll be back here next Sunday night for all of you guys. And House of the Dragon, Dragon Chat, episode number 2. Thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate all of y'all. And we'll see you next time. Peace.